Good morning or evening or wherever you come from around the world. We're actually streaming here live too at Hong Kong and with the Asian Financial Forum. And we're very fortunate to have the DFSO, which is the Digital Financial Services Observatory. And I'd like to just introduce our guests with us this morning or evening, which is Jason Buck-Whites. Thanks for joining us, Jason, from DFSO and Columbia University.
Hi, Dan. It's good to see you.
Great to see you. Thanks. And then we also have Mr. Keith Bowie. Thanks for joining us, Keith. We look forward to your presentation.
Hi, Dan. Great to be talking to you again.
We have Tim Basco with us. He was the Chief Executive Officer of BlockCerts Blockchain. And good morning to you, Tim.
Hi, Dan. How are you? It's great to be here with Jason and Keith and the whole team again at the DFSO.
It is great. And then I'm Dan Gay. I'm the Chief Marketing Officer of BlockCerts Blockchain. So thanks everyone for joining us. We're here again to talk about the introduction to DFSO and some very exciting things happening, which creating this overall platform for many across the world, whether you're in government or in big business and small business. So with that, Keith, if you could just kind of take us through, yourself and Jason, we look forward to this discussion.
Okay. Do you want to start off, Jason?
Sure. So just a real quick explanation. We're the Digital Financial Services Observatory, which is a project run out of the Columbia Business School's Research Center, the Columbia Institute for Teleinformation. We call ourselves CITI, not to be confused with the other city, Citibank, of course. CITI has been around for 37 years. We've done research in all various areas of teleinformation, internet, and media. And so about 10 years ago, we started getting involved in the concept of mobile money, as it was then called, dealing with M-Pesa and other areas of digital finance. As that evolved, we started to see how this was becoming more of a bigger issue around the world, especially in areas of the bottom of the pyramid where people needed to be reached and traditional services were not facilitating their needs. So in 2015, Dr. Leon Perlman, along with Professor Ellie Noam, started the Digital Financial Services Observatory to do research into what exactly entails digital financial services, where some of the problems are, policy implementations that are necessary. And so we created several white papers and policy recommendations. And then out of that, one of the major takeaways was the need for cybersecurity. There needs to be trust in the system. And so what we decided was in 2018 to start focusing on the cybersecurity aspects of digital financial services. And so we brought in Mr. Keith Bowie, who will be speaking later today, to help us to design a first of its kind DFS-focused actionable risk management framework and to provide research into financial services in general. And so we've been dealing for the last two and a half years now on cybersecurity in the DFS field. And we're very excited to talk about that with you guys today.
Awesome.
So Keith, if you want to.
Yeah. So just echoing what Jason said, I was very fortunate to join the DFSO back in September 2019. And my main focus was putting together this cybersecurity risk management framework specifically in the financial services. And my background is corporate technology for financial services firms and commodity trading firms. So it was a bit of a departure for myself, and it was I found the last 18 months or so very rewarding indeed. So our framework is aimed at every participant within the DFS ecosystem, not just the big banks or the credit unions that are providing financial services, but also the digital financial service providers or DFSPs that may be mom and pop shops. So we wanted to give them some guidance on how best to protect themselves and how to react should they be subject to a cyber incident. And we believe the framework itself is actually very good at that particular purpose, and we've had positive feedback from some of the participants in the DFS ecosystem in Africa and Southeast Asia with regards to the content. And again, we're not way off the mark. There've been very positive comments about content and how we can fine tune to be bit more specific to the lower end of the DFS ecosystem, the people with the less sophistication than others. So that's been very positively received and good feedback for us. The other area we looked at was, how practical is it to use? And again, we've had very positive comments about, the usability just now. But one of the areas that people were really asked us to focus on was, could we make it a little bit more interactive? At the moment, it's a set of documents, like most frameworks are, but could we make it more interactive? And hence our conversations with Tim, Dan, and the guys at BlockCerts to see how we can take what we have just now and actually make it better and more usable for the participants. Not just the participants themselves, but we can then potentially progress through to regulators and supervisory organizations.
So Keith, we were talking about the DFSO for some time now, and there are a lot of activities around the DFSO, one of them being what we're working on together, which is actually creating this into an application anybody can access. And I may be wrong, you guys are the experts here, but didn't open banking just come to the UK? And wasn't that just recently brought in to the UK?
Yes, it was, Tim. It was, and that was kind of came in while we were developing the framework. So a real focus at the moment has been on the developing world, but I think the framework itself could be used for any kind of mid to low size organizations, irrespective of their asset class or industry. So I would hope that we can take it forward in that vein.
So what's the major benefit of like the activities that we have at the DFSO when this is released already as an outline and a research project, bringing it into the commercial aspects of an operable platform like we're working on here with BlockCerts? What are the major, in your opinions, the major advantages, and what's this going to change? What is the big support mechanism that's going to happen?
Okay, so one of the major advantages we believe is this is aimed at the DFS itself. Right? So while I said previously it could be used by other industries, it really could be, but we focused on a lot of the threats. There's two main components. There's a preventative process component, how do you protect yourselves, and then there's a threat matrix, how would you react if you're subject to a threat. The threat matrix is very DFS focused. So we believe that's kind of really one of a kind. The second thing I would say is an advantage is that we've also made it process-based. So we haven't just gone, hey, you guys should do this. Thank you very much. See you later. We said, you should do this, but this is how you should do it. So we've laid out a set of process steps, especially on the preventative process side, about what you can and should do to protect your organization. And again, we haven't come across any frameworks for the DFS ecosystem that has that process capability.
And that's why I bring up the open banking evolution now, because traditional financial services, very process driven, as you know, Keith, you spent your life there. And Jason, as you talk about things like M-Pesa and all of those kinds of mobile money or digital currency evolutions that have transpired over the last decade, we know that processes and modeling of how to execute on these cybersecurity risks, and proper processing is absolutely critical. Wouldn't that be the case?
Yes, absolutely. So I was distracted. I think Mike Pence's flies come into my area. Yeah, yes, Tim. That's it. Yeah.
If it lands on your head, this will go viral, and we'll be good.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely correct. You're absolutely correct.
Yeah. So in that, some of these activities that are ongoing with the DFSO, like the annual summits and the roundtables and conferences, and then of course building these webinars, are now moving into actual implementation and how to engage a financial services flow globally, really, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and I think, thanks for bringing those other activities up. I think what one of the things that the DFSO has done really successfully is bring together, industry leaders to our annual summit, which was in person. That's where you and I first met last February, right, when we were allowed to meet in person. And really, the comments we get on those summits are spectacular. They're very cost effective, and the participants we get to bring together from industry, finance, governments. I mean, you can see Linda Lacewell, the superintendent of the New York State Department of Financial Services, was our last keynote speaker, and her talk went down extremely well. So those kinds, and that then opens the doors for more communication, correspondence, cooperation, to see where we as a research organization, where the pain points are for people that need to be addressed, and we can then focus on addressing them. So along with the summits and the webinars, kind of start addressing those periodically during the year, and which we build up to the next summit, which will probably be virtual this year.
Yeah, which is what I'm excited to talk about, because obviously the world's locked down. We've got the pandemic, all the situations going on, and clearly this idea of digital is no longer hypothetical, which is why we're pushing so hard to get this commercialized and get it in a real community framework. Right. So from a participation standpoint, we've now done 2 of these fintech forums, and Singapore last December, Hong Kong now. And the exciting part about that is this is just the very beginning of transforming all of that great stuff that's happened over the last 5 years into real global implementation. Isn't that really where we're at, guys?
Yeah, it really is. I think we've done a lot of research and a lot of groundwork. And now, the proof is in the pudding. Can we get it out there in a usable format, framework for organizations to take real advantage of? And I partner with BlockCerts to make the platform available to really anyone that wants to use it is a huge thing. And the power of technology and the power of the network that we have, the network that you have, to actually promote and then get use of this framework is really really quite something that we're looking forward to. And just to add, as we were talking to we've called them beta participants, but people have taken a framework and looked at it and provided us feedback. Their eyes light up when you say, "Look, we're looking to turn this into an application."
Right.
It's like that's a complete game changer if you do that.
And I was going to say, for a lot of companies, well, whether you're a CIO or the technology or security, a lot of times you feel like you're out on an island. And being a part of a community where you're actually getting great feedback and having a framework like what you've built, not only helps to protect one's job, but to protect their company and to be with a real community.
And I think the CIOs of this world, or the CTOs, or whatever, their main focus just now is regulatory,
exactly.
Regulatory compliance, and obviously with the pandemic, the digital channel expansion on how they make the services available. But I know from my previous experience, the regulatory compliance is incredibly time consuming because, depending on where you are in the world, there's more than one regulator. Like, here in New York, go to New York, you've got the federal regulators, you've got the state regulators, then you've got industry regulators within, broker dealers versus fixed income, etc.
Right.
So, it's kind of almost a full-time job satisfying regulatory needs. And the regulatory demands are reasonably straightforward. How do you, you've got a set of policies and procedures. How do you implement them? Show me evidence you implement them. Is it adequate for your risk, your risk profile or your risk appetite? But in practice, getting all information together is a pain in the backside. So having something like this, where you've got guidelines which are against international standards, so we haven't gone off reservation and done anything, that's not common to those who are familiar with cybersecurity. But I think building the platform out to allow this then to be potentially mapped to regulation and then potentially be used as a mechanism to provide evidence to the regulator or an auditor, internal, external, about how you're protecting and protecting yourself for cyber, reacting to cyber, is a big deal. And then, the sky's the limit with where else you can take the platform. Once you've got this thing in, you've got a whole bunch of stuff you can do.
Yeah, and the reality of it is that to be effective for anybody now, you have to be digital. For this framework to be effective, I mean, things are moving at lightning speed now. Transformation is moving at a speed really we didn't expect to see for a few years. And now in a few months, we're seeing this emergence of everything being digital. So it's really important, I think, that we gather community and collaboration around this. We're excited here not only to work with you guys and continue to deploy that in Q1 of 2021, a first usable, like we're not talking years now, we're talking months of deploying a first usable POC out there to the world, as well as I've got the screen up here that says over 20 academic white papers and involvement from thousands of members of the financial services community all over the world. So that's what we're doing right now, is we're expanding that community and getting sponsors and participants in, as you said, Keith, at the beginning of this, at every level, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. This should be, there's no way I think you can do a one size fits all. So this is a graded framework we've put together to make sure people are, can use it to their organization's needs or their own personal needs. And one really interesting piece of feedback we got from an organization in Ghana was that their customers are sometimes digitally illiterate, but sometimes illiterate. So actually providing, some easy to follow steps, maybe pictorially, on how to avoid things like, getting malicious text messages and handing out the details via the mobile device they have is a big deal for them, and that's a feature that we're looking to do as we progress into our next phase.
And that brings up a really good point, which is, let's face it, people don't have the tolerance to go through 20 academic white papers, or maybe even the capacity to do it, as well as spend years to learn this. But today, the good news is, I think I read somewhere that something like 5 billion videos are viewed a day on YouTube. And as we bring this into our next set of activities, we're not only going to deploy something that's really accessible to anybody, and it's blockchain based, so we've got kind of this decentralized focus. Nobody actually controls this except the community. But we also can utilize all of these new media to make sure that inclusion happens, right?
Yeah. And look, I think, having little videos, little cartoon-like videos out there to provide that guidance is really powerful. You know, and making that available to the folks that we just were mentioning, I think that would be really, really good. You know, obviously it would have to be kind of managed locally, but those sort of things are good, and you know, and translated into whatever the local languages, right? No one wants to hear me rambling on in my strange Scottish accent.
And exactly. and I think that it's really important to point out that as we build up these activities and this community, that's what we're going to do. Is
Right.
every place in the world we're going to have people who represent what standards and the evolution of digital means, what the evolution of digital financial services mean in real world situations. Like,
Yeah.
we're not just going live from a standpoint of, oh, here's a piece of tech. We're going live from, here's a piece of tech and here's how people are using it, and this is what it's doing in those locations. So, you know, the DFSO project that we're on now, the next iteration and life of the entire environment, is with very deep roots in the research and the actual implementation of taking knowledge into the world and expanding that is happening right now. And that's what we're doing at BlockCerts with you guys. And we feel very fortunate to be on that journey, because this is a journey and it's a really important one.
Well, I think it's also important for any company or any entity, because they're plugging into a bigger universe that they just could not tap into otherwise.
Exactly. Exactly, Dan. And so, you know, with that, I think what we'd like to do is encourage everybody to come in and participate with the DFSO. The way you do that from here, from this venue, is you'll just register. This is streaming on at Asia FinTech Forum in Hong Kong, and next we'll be streaming on YouTube, and you'll just simply click and get to a registration form, participate, get the information, and get all the ways that you can can be inclusive and be part of the digital financial services industry organization and helping set the standards. And the thing I want to say, and Jason and Keith, maybe you can close on this, is that if you're engaged in the financial services industry and digital, you want to be part of this. You definitely want to be part at some level of this, and you're going to get the opportunity to do that right now in the month of January to become part of this. If you want to help shape the financial standards, be part of the financial standards. That's kind of my view of what DFSO is all about at this point.
Jason, do you want to?
You're on mute, I think, Jason.
Can you hear me, Tim?
Yes, there we go.
But it wouldn't have been a real presentation if somebody wasn't on mute and started saying something.
Exactly. We've all gotten
That's
used
what
to
going digital means these days.
Exactly.
Can you hear me now? Yeah, no, you're absolutely right, Tim. I mean, this is exactly what we've been trying to do, is to bring together the various stakeholders in terms of designing policy, in terms of the industry leaders who are going to be implementing this, and also the academics who are thinking about this, 10 steps ahead. We're trying to future-proof this and come up with a system that not only works today, but also works 5 years from now. We know that technology moves at leaps and bounds. 10 years ago, people didn't think cryptocurrency was worth a thing until somebody bought a pizza pie for 10,000 Bitcoin. Today, one Bitcoin is worth what? $30,000, $40,000?
About 40.
Yeah,
40.
exactly.
Last I saw. Yeah.
So I mean, would we have been thinking in terms of cryptocurrency 10 years ago when designing policy versus today, where cryptocurrency is becoming more and more the norm? I mean, even PayPal allows you to, buy and hold cryptocurrency nowadays. So we need to be thinking not just today, but especially in terms of digital finance, where we're going. And the best way to do that is to bring together, people who are both forward-looking and backward-looking, and to really draw ideas of what is going on and where we're going. this is a very important field, and it's been put on steroids because of the coronavirus, where more and more money is being transacted digitally. We're buying more things from home, so we don't have to go out to the store. We are receiving payments from government stimuluses and bailouts and all kinds of things electronically. But this also makes it more attractive to bad actors who are going to look at this and say, hey, now there's all this money into the system, let's go after it.
Right.
It's the 21st century version of robbing the stagecoach, right? So we need to have policies, we need to have concepts in place that are ready for this. And luckily, CITI has already known that this was going to become a problem and put efforts and 2 years worth of research into this. And we've designed a concept that is pretty ready for prime time. And we'd like to work with people to help bring it to the forefront, and also to really get it out there and show what it can do.
Exactly. And one of the things I think, Jason, that I'd like to point out is there is huge thought leadership in this, and a huge amount of work. And I always like to tell people, I talk about blockchain a lot. I talk about all the evolution of what decentralized finances and all the emerging stuff there, and what would have been a $40,000 pizza today. And what it basically boils down to is we've got this huge amount of complexity, and this is a platform to simplify that so that the average individual can have access,
right,
and be protected. And when you think about the billions of people that are out there, this is no longer just a academic exercise, so to speak. This is a real world implementation of really important thought leadership, just like the internet was. So let's think about that. The internet was a research project for defense. And what is it today? So I want to put that in everybody's head. Bitcoin was at 50 cents once or less, and was just a bunch of computer geeks mining something that nobody understood. The internet was a bunch of defense geeks saying, how can we communicate across these technologies? And look at what it is today. And the Amazons of the world and the Facebooks and the Googles of the world all came out of that. And the DFSO has had years, as you point out, a decade's worth of thought. So things don't happen as fast as people assume on the net. They only happen fast once all of that is completed, right? Once all of that is understood, and then it can be implemented. And that's exactly where I see we're at with the DFSO today, is we're at implementation phase. And we've got this sponsorship slide up there. And that's what you're going to be hearing about, is how you can get involved and how you can be part of this rapid evolution. I think the big change that I've seen, though, in our own business at BlockCerts Blockchain and all the things we're doing, is how fast it's happening. And that started, Keith, right after I saw you in New York in February. And all of a sudden, it's just been, this lightning speed. Even us getting together and getting this organized for DFSO has been at lightning speed. So things don't move slow. They're not going to move slow in the future. And we really encourage you, if you want to be part of something, this is the one something to be part of if you want to know about the digital financial services and participate, in my opinion.
It absolutely is. And once we're finished here, you'll have the opportunity to see where to go to get involved. And we look forward to talking to you there.
That's right. And this is just the very beginning and the nascent beginnings of a very deep body of work that is incredibly important and effective already.
Great. So with that, Tim, do you want to wrap up with your saying?
Well, we always want to make sure everybody is staying safe, staying healthy, and staying digital with their financial services. So let's do that together. And And I'd like to thank Jason and Keith and the DFSO and everybody involved in that for letting BlockCerts be a part of this and bring this to the world and put it in every person's hands, from a mobile device to a desktop, and making sure that they're safe, secure, and we have standards that can help this evolution continue at massive scale, because it is going to be massive scale.
It is. So thanks, gentlemen, for joining us. And again,